All right, boys and girls. So today we're going to continue our unit on multiplication. We are going to multiply by tens. There's a trick to that. And then also we're going to extend that even further to not just tens, but friendly numbers, numbers that have zero in the ones place, but they're double digit. You'll notice I have a problem set up here. I have these hundreds grids. Each one is 100 because there's 10 rows and 10 in each row or 10 columns. And then there's a black line that divides it. It marks the 10th column, and then it moves on to the next one. So each one of these is worth 100, 100, 100, 100. It only goes 40 long because that's the highest we're gonna go with friendly numbers. But we're gonna start easy with 6 times 10. This green line just basically shows the amount of columns that we're covering. So when I'm drawing my, when I'm filling in my grid for my 6 tens, I know where to stop, which today the line tells us anyways. But so to set it up, I'm going to write my double digit number on the top, my 10, and then I'm going to make 6 rows of that 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 rows. And then all I'm going to do is simply shade in each row. Now you might be wondering why we're doing this if you already know the answer. Well, this is just to show you visually what we're actually doing. That's not fat enough. Let's see. Thicken her up a little bit. Okay, there we go. So 10, 20, there's two tens. There's 30, there's 40, there's 50, and there's 60. So it's pretty simple to count by tens. And so this was a 6 by 10. This is how you set it up. You got the 6 going this way and then the double digit going lengthwise. So we know 6 times 10 equals 60. A lot of you guys already knew that one because you know the trick where if you do 6 times 10, you just think about it as a 6 times 1 first. So you're crossing that 0 off and you're doing 6 times 1 is 6. And then after you've crossed the 0 off, you replace it in the ones place. That shifts that 6 over one place value slot. And in this case, it pushes it over to the tens place. So the answer, 6 times 10 is actually 6 times 1 times 10. Okay, so it's 60. We have 8 times 30. So we're going to do this in the same way. We have a 10. We have another 10 in this case because our friendly number got bigger than 10. It actually went to 3 tens this time. So I'm going to write that down now. I know this is a 10. This is a 10. And we have a 10 here. All of these combined ends up being 30. Then we got to count our 8s. 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's see what this looks like when we shade it in. I know to stop here. That would be 30. So if we did 1 row of 30, it looks like this. I'm trying to go as straight as I can. Here's 2 rows of 30, which would be 60. 3 rows of 30. 4 rows of 30. 5. I'm trying to go as straight as I can. I'm on a mouse pad here, and my touchscreen isn't working properly with this program. So bear with me, please. There's 7. There is our 8th row of 30. So there's all different ways that we could solve for this. I'll put my 8 here because it was 8 times 30. I did 8 rows of 30. Some people like to go once they get halfway, because you can split 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I got to that 4th row, I was about halfway. So you might calculate what this was halfway. So it would be instead of thinking about it as 8, 4 times 30, which is 120. And then you could also do another 4 times 30 is 120. So, and then basically you're doubling that. That's one way you could do it, or you could just count all the tens up. It's kind of like the longer way, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Or you could count by 30s, 30, 60, 90. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. I think the way that we're kind of veering towards is the way that we did it on paper, is if you think of a 30 as a 3 times a 10. And instead of doing 8 times 30, you think about it like 8 times 3 times 10. So if you do the 8 times the 3 first, it's 24. And then you multiply the 24 times the 10, you get your answer is 240. If I counted every single one of these squares, there would be 240 squares. So that's the answer there. Or another way to look at it, you just do the 8 times the 3, cross off the 0. You do the 8 times 3 is 24. And then when you tack the 0 on, it shifts everything over and it's 240. So there's lots of different ways that you can look at this. We have, I'll do this last example here. So if we do 5 times 40, we know we're going to have to do 5 here. We're going to have to do 40 across. So let's, it's not grabbing it for some reason. There we go. There's 10 across, 20, 30, 40, and we could fill it in. And I'm going to stretch each one of these all the way across. There's one row of 5 or a 40. We got to get to 5. There's 2 rows. There's 3 rows. 4 rows. Let's see if I can make one straight one. And here's 5 rows. So I'll pretend all these got shaded in. So 5 rows of 40. Remember, it's basically you're taking that 40 and you're looking at it in a different light. You're not thinking of it as a 40. You're thinking of it as a 4 times a 10. Okay. So we're doing 5 times 4 times 10. So if you do the 5 times the 4 first, you should already have that memorized. It's 20. Then we still got to do the times the 10. Oh, I'm not going to write it that way because that would be confusing. So I'll write it in another equation. 20 times the 10 equals 200. Because it's just basically 20, you tack on the 0. So 5 times 40 equals 200. All kinds of ways to solve it. In my opinion, this is probably the simplest way. But you can definitely are going to need to be able to represent it on a grid like this where there's 5 rows of 40. Okay, so hopefully this will be useful in today's activity. And if you have any questions about how anything is done today, you can always refer back to this video. Thank you and good luck.